People are listening to you narrating Heated Rivalry, but they were your former students.
Oh my gosh.
Hey lovers, I'm Chris Chandler with Love on Demand. Today I'm joined by audiobook narrator Tor Thom to talk Heated Rivalry, the art of audiobooks, and because we have to, the TikTok heard round the internet.
The man reading the Heated Rivalry audiobook is also my undergraduate Bible professor.
Tor, I'm so excited to chat with you. We have a lot to cover and to dig in, but I'm just so excited that you're here. Thanks for showing up today.
I'm thrilled to be here. And hi, friends. Glad to be here and excited for the conversation. Thank you, Chris. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Tor, you are famously known for narrating audiobooks. In fact, almost 660?
Yes.
Absolutely
Yes.
Crazy. How in the world did you get into audiobook narration?
People come to audiobook narration from a variety of different avenues. I performed as a child on the small stage and then sort of left acting and entered into academia, pursuing advanced degrees, and then got a teaching job as a professor. And then on Tuesdays, I would go to a taco shop and order tacos every Tuesday. One day, the young lady who was manning the intercom system, I guess she did not let her hand off or didn't let her hand off the intercom. I'm not sure exactly how it works. So I could hear what she was saying inside the building. And I heard her yell out, "It's the guy with the voice." And it was that moment that I sort of thought, well, maybe I could make some money with my voice. And so I started off with some commercials and then found my way into what's known as long narration or audiobooks. And then the genre of romance audiobooks sort of found me and claimed me as its own. And kind of that's the rest is history, I guess, so to speak.
660 is robust. What was your first audiobook that you ever recorded?
I don't actually remember. So I entered audiobook narration the quote unquote hard way. It used to be back in the day, and this is about a decade ago, that most narrators would go to what was called ACX, which was a service, a website provided by Audible, where authors of books would post them and request auditions and how much they would pay, and you would audition. And you would get the book or not, and you produced it kind of yourself. And I sort of came up that hard way of learning how to narrate from that context, learning how to master engineer, do all the sorts of things. And I actually don't remember the first audiobook I did. I remember it was pretty hardcore erotica.
Obsessed. I just love that that's your first one.
And well, there was a lot of them on ACX back in the day.
Uh-huh.
I had different pseudonyms early on, and I don't even remember which one I used, but that was back in 2016.
So 10 years, 660 audiobooks. Is there one that sticks out that like, ooh, that one made an impact on me. That's my favorite.
This is one of the hardest questions to answer because so many of the books have stuck with me in different ways. I will say that there's a book, it's by Pepper Winters, and it's a 3-set book called Fable of Happiness. It tells the story of a very, very broken man. And that was because of some deep darkness in his past. And that character and his history deeply resonated with me and still sort of sits with me in a way. But it has been an absolute joy to narrate so many different characters, from orcs to vampires to cowboys, you name it. I'm a half human vampire in a book that I'm narrating now, and so it's yeah, with a bit of robotic element thrown in. So it's fun to live in those characters and get to embody them with my voice.
You mentioned some projects that you're working on right now. Is there anything that you can give us like a sneak peek on what to expect from you, what your next project, what your next book is?
There are so many. I mean, I keep a pretty steady clip of about 10 to 12 books a month. A lot of them are already up for pre-order right now on ACX, and then not ACX, on Audible. And if fans want, I try, at least, if they follow me on Instagram, I try to do 3 things for books that I narrate, which is a I'm in the booth now, kind of a little sample,
Ooh.
and then a little audio teaser as the book kind of is moving to the point where they can pre-order it. And then I try to do an actual visual from the exact seat I'm in now saying, hey, this is a book you should really listen to, pay attention to, watch out for, it's coming.
Okay, I'm curious. Day in the life of an audiobook narrator.
I mean, it varies a lot, depending upon like if it's a heavy studio day or if it's a heavy prep day. So it really varies. A studio day, you're in the booth, an hour and a half, 2 hours for every finished hour of audio that you're producing.
Okay.
If you're trying to do 4 hours of audio that day, you're pretty well going to be in the booth. Sometimes for me, that goes late into the night.
Yeah.
There are other days that are a little less intense where you may have a set of pickups where you've given the files to the production company and they've found mistakes or misreads or pronunciation problems. And so you get a list of things to reread, and then you do that. Maybe don't read a lot that day, but spend a lot of time preparing for the next one, looking at the manuscript, assigning voices in your head, etc. So it really varies depending on the day.
So what you're saying is Heated Rivalry audiobook is 9 hours and 30 minutes long, and that probably took you what, 18, 19 hours then to record?
Yeah, and so I mean the standard that people often say is somewhere between 3 to 4 hours of whatever the runtime is, the final runtime. That's the amount of time it took in terms of prep and recording, re-recording mistakes, and so it's a big chunk of time.
So let's talk about it.
Sure.
Let's talk about what's bringing you into the light right now, and that is your narration of Heated Rivalry. It's been a huge resurgence, the book, the audiobook, after the TV show. First off, tell us what you think about the show.
Let me just kind of step back for a second and just congratulate Rachel Reed, because she told a brave story. It's a male romance. The first I looked back and the email I got was potential casting for a gay hockey romance. That was in the line that was as it was presented to me, and she told a powerful story, and that story is reverberating. I've I've seen stories of adult hockey players coming out of the closet for the first time, and and so you know apart from my own sense of the aesthetic of the story or whatever, the power of the story in a sensitive cultural moment where many members of the LGBTQ plus community feel marginalized, potentially threatened, unseen. I just want to applaud Rachel and applaud the entire production team and and the young actors. I mean, the instant fame these guys have in their mid 20s, for daring to tell the story and to tell the world that love is love, um, in the context of a male professional sport, which, not to single out any one sport in particular, but male professional sports are not necessarily known for being progressive on these fronts, and so I'm just proud of them and what they did, and I find it amusing and endearing and powerful that the phrase "boy aquarium" now is part of the English lexicon. And so, yeah, I'm just thrilled at the success of the show.
You know, Tor, it is pretty wild how it's a cultural phenomenon. Like, it has taken the world by storm. The two main actors are now going to be torchbearers at the Olympics. Like, could you have ever seen this coming, where this film or this series was filmed in what, 30 something days? And it shows really what our culture is craving, and it's connection, real stories, hope, all these different things. And of course, the spice is really nice for us gay men over here, okay? And
Right,
for
right.
so many different people, you know?
And the ladies. I mean,
100%.
I mean, it's hit all the registers across the books that I've read. You read a lot of good books, and you often wonder as you're reading the book, well, what is the special sauce that's going to make this one catch and not that one? And been in publishing, worked in publishing in different capacities. It's almost impossible to know with a book.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have asked me, slid into my messages or whatever, or sent me emails even wanting to know, like, did you anticipate this?
Yeah.
How would I have? right? In 2019. And so, I mean, as we approach the summer of now 2026, we're almost 7 years removed. I mean, you can read the book and you can see, oh, Rachel wrote a great book. I can see why people like that. But anticipating what was going to happen with A, the creation of a show, and then B, the success of the show, I don't think anyone, could have anticipated that. And and my sense is that even once the decision was made, okay, we're going to turn this into a mini series, the publisher had to then figure out, okay, how many new books do we have to get ready? What kind of print run do we need to do? And I'm sure, I mean, I don't know the details of this, but I can only imagine the scrambling inside, the publishing house as they tried to get enough print copies ordered and printed and put on the shelves to keep up with demand.
One of the things that's fascinating to me is the series brought to light a whole different view of male romance novels and just the
Yes.
the industry in general. And so this type of literature is getting in the hands of people that wouldn't normally get their hands on it. And with that, people have listened to Heated Rivalry, and I think we need to talk about the TikTok.
Sure.
The TikTok is that people are listening to you narrating Heated Rivalry, but they were your former students in your life as a professor.
I'm really just trying to process the fact that the man reading the Heated Rivalry audiobook to me, who's saying the dirtiest, raunchiest, sluttiest, smuttiest, nastiest things in my ear, is also my undergraduate Bible professor. So I'm kind of dealing with a lot right now.
What was your first reaction to seeing that? And tell us what type of professor you were.
So my academic training is in the humanities, and so that meant learning a lot of languages, studying the past, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, studying ancient medicine, philosophy, and religion as well. And so a part of that involves competency in teaching sacred texts or the Bible. And so when it was sent to me, actually a friend um, messaged me and said, have you seen this? And all I saw in my messages was just the head of the student, and I remembered her. Um, i i i tried when I was a full-time professor to be a safe space for LGBTQ plus students, queer students who could come in and express their frustration at friends, family, the systems around them, and to be a safe space. So I immediately recognized her and I thought, oh, she's connected the dots. And then I listened to it and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was just it was a surreal moment, I guess,
Yeah.
is what I would say, to be reconnected in those ways so many years later.
And you being a biblical studies theology professor, yes?
I taught those courses, yes, yeah.
Was it at a religiously affiliated school too?
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, a lot of jobs in the liberal arts are at faith-based institutions. And so that's just the nature of the way that works. And so a lot of people who study the past in the way that I did end up teaching in those contexts.
Did the timelines cross where you were actively teaching biblical studies theology and doing romance narration at the same time, or no?
No, so I left a job as a full-time professor and moved into working in publishing full time, as well as audiobook narrating. I still adjunct on occasion. But in terms of me, like formally being in an office on faculty, those worlds did not overlap. They're chronologically separate.
Do you still adjunct?
I do on occasion. I am not this year. I have basically every year since I left full time teaching until this year. I'm not certain I have the bandwidth to continue to teach and do those things.
Coming up on 700 books is a lot, my friend.
It is.
Tor, I have to give you a little personal anecdote. And
Okay.
that is, I was really excited to do this interview today because I grew up in the church, and I'm a proud gay man, and I went to a faith-based college, university,
Yep.
and it was the biblical studies and theology professors that helped me come to terms with my identity and
Mhm.
seeing myself as loved and accepted and whole, if you will. And so being able to speak with you today and knowing that's part of your background too, and knowing the industry that you're in now, specifically with your impact in the romance space, feels really, really beautiful.
I'm thrilled for you, and I'm thrilled that you found those professors that could help you, and that they were willing to talk and share and be honest, and maybe even risk on their own end, to help you navigate those issues of faith and history and personal identity and sexuality. It's complicated spaces with lots of stakeholders that have
Yeah.
competing interests, and so I'm thrilled for you. I still get messages sometimes from former students who say things like, I was contemplating ending it all, and and now I'm happily married or happily partnered or and thriving in this or that place, and I thought, I think that's, you know an impact was made beyond the content of the course, and it is the case. I will say this, that when you study something intently, like whether it's the past in general, or the Roman Empire, or ancient philosophy, or ancient religion, um, things can become a little more gray, and you get a sense of nuance, and you understand the problems, and and hopefully that allows people to speak with a bit more kindness, understanding, and, dare I say, grace. Um, but knowledge, at least for me, was humbling, because you realize the limits of what you yourself know, and that hopefully you can communicate that to others.
Your point about nuance is so right, and I think that's one of the things that my professors taught me is to be able to see things clearly and to see it from all sides and to recognize our scope is limited and that there's so much to the story that we can't necessarily see with our senses and feel. With that being said, I know you've had those messages, and you taking up space in a way that you do as an audiobook narrator in the romance space has provided a lot of hope to a lot of people. And so I want to say thank you for doing that, especially with your affiliation in your previous life, if you will.
Sure, sure, absolutely. Thank you. No, it's an honor and a privilege.
Has there been any sort of crosshairs of being a professor and being an audiobook narrator?
No, I mean, I broadly, I'm an actor, right?
Yeah.
I'm a member of the Screen Actors Guild. I read audiobooks. One area in which I read audiobooks is as Tor Thom, right? And in that space, and so I keep my worlds, kind of separate. In much the same way, I think that many people sort of keep their Kindles or their Audible purchase lists separate from you know it's their own thing, and respect the privacy of that, and
Yeah.
and so, yeah, they're separate worlds.
Let's dig into the world of Shane and Ilya a little bit more
Sure.
and the process of narrating the audiobook.
Yes,
The accent discourse has taken a little life of its own.
it
How
has.
do you approach accents when you first record an audiobook, but specifically with Heated Rivalry?
Yeah, and let me also just kind of step back for just a second in terms of thinking about the goals of a good audiobook, narrator.
Ooh, yes, tell us.
What you are trying to do is to create a plausible world in the ears of readers, or listeners in this case, that allows them to kind of leave reality, at least for a little bit, and immerse themselves. Now, hopefully not completely leave reality if they're driving down a road while they're listening, or cooking while they're listening, but
That would be dangerous, yes.
but to kind of immerse themselves in it. And so when when you get a script, I mean, the most basic function is being able to distinguish which character is speaking, right? I mean, I mean, that's just basic step one, because you don't have the medium of sight and sound to actually know immediately without even having to think who's talking. And so if you can't vocally distinguish characters, then you failed. I mean, that's step one. Two is consistency. That is, in chapter one, y- you don't want a character that's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then by chapter five, it's like, "What's going on?" Like that's
Right.
a problem, because the listener has a disconnect between those two things. The third step is actually getting the emotion right. I mean, understanding the power of "I love you," which can be said in a whole host of different contexts. It can be said from a parent to a child. It can be said from to someone who's dying. It can be said in a moment where you decide to be life partners. It can be said in the heat of passion, and sort of capturing all of that, and nuancing that and capturing the emotion without over dramatizing it in a way that's almost farcical is kind
Yeah.
of a balance. And then also being consistent with the character, and that's one of the hardest things, and it's the hardest thing actually, um, in books in which you are cast in what is called a duel, where one actor is reading one set of chapters and the other actor is reading the other set of chapters, getting on the same page, because you don't want radically different voices from chapter to chapter, even though you're not going to sound the same. So those are kind of the basic goals. Now, with that fourth element comes in the world of accents, right? And let me just say that, some of my good friends, some of the best male voiceover actors in the romance space, basically have a no accent rule.
Okay.
Because it it is almost by definition a losing game.
Yeah.
It because it is so easy to parody. It is so easy to not match the expectation of either the author or the listener. So I mean, for example, a Russian accent, right? Ilya, right?
I'm coming to the cottage.
Russia is a huge country, right? And not all Russians sound the same. I have friends in my personal life who grew up in different parts of Russia, and they all have Russian accents, but they don't all sound the same. So or sometimes you'll get these notes and we'll say, so and so has an American accent, and I'm like,
From where? Which part of
is
America?
this Austin, Texas? Is this New York? Is it Minnesota? Is it California? Is it Alabama? Right? And even if someone says like a Southern accent, okay, well, again, Alabama or New Orleans are different from Atlanta, Georgia, right? In terms of processing. And so once accents get involved, you're really entering fraught territory, right? And so, and if I just for fun, I searched like accent nightmares in film, right? And and
Can of worms.
people make these lists, right? And there are some consistent things that come up from well-known actors like Keanu Reeves in Bram Stoker's Dracula, right? Comes up all the time. Keanu's a fantastic actor. He's Keanu Reeves, right?
Yeah.
Sean Connery's inability to like drop his brogue, even when he's playing like somebody from Spain, right? Or even the legendary, the icon, Dick Van Dyke and his Cockney accent in Mary Poppins has become. I mean, people hate it as a Cockney accent, um, but but it's become kind of its own iconic thing because of the success of the film. So it's just um, it's just really fraught space once you enter the accent world. Now, let me say this: in order to figure out the accent, right? Um, the way we get scripts, and I don't think a lot of people understand this, varies widely. And so in some cases we get a manuscript, and the production company will basically say, this is you. You're doing this whole book by yourself. Read the manuscript through. If you have any questions, need clarification, let us know. And that's it. And there's no producer, there's no director, there's no accent coach. You're in your space and you're living and leaning into these stories. Now, Others will send a script, and there may be other actors involved, and maybe you have some detailed notes, right? Um, Even maybe YouTube clips, like I want so and so to sound like this, or I want so and so to sound like that. And that's really good clues. And there's another level where the author is like, no, 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 I want an accent and I want to hone that accent. And that's usually the author who has kept their rights, not to get too deep in the weeds here, but that author wants to hear your samples and wants to know exactly like how you're going to do it. Um, and then you perform. Now, let me say that even in a case where you have a very hands-on author who is micromanaging the accent and getting an accent exactly the way they want it, that accent may not match readers and readers'
Right.
expectations. So I recently did another book. We don't need to talk about it here, but the author had a very specific accent that they wanted for a character that reflected the emotional stuntedness of the character and the character's demisexuality, right? And and so the author's in my DMs like, send me this, and I send it, and the author's like, no, 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 dial that back, push this forward, and then crafts this whole thing. And like, perfect, okay, that's the accent I want, that's what I hear in my head, that's what I wrote on the page, you do that. And then you do it, and then the book girlies or whatever,
Yeah.
it doesn't match their vision of a book boyfriend, and they revolt.
Well, it's fascinating because you're giving us the behind the scenes of the curtain of
Yeah.
everything. And it's amazing because you're juggling so many different things in this finished product. And then
Right.
the beast of heated rivalry is that they've seen it on film or on screen, and then they're comparing it to you, going back to the audiobook.
Right. And so in most cases, you do an audiobook, and the author may have a clear sense in their head that they've tried to communicate on paper or with notes to you, right? Um, but they themselves haven't heard the character. And readers may have an idea, and they may think that something does or doesn't match with their imagination, but there is nothing really to be compared to.
Right.
And with accents, people may have a sense of, well, that's what it should sound like if they're from that location, but they really have nothing to compare to. In this case, as far as I can tell, and I don't know the numbers, but I would guess millions more have now seen the show Heated Rivalry, right? I'm just guessing here, but I think it's a pretty solid guess,
I think that's educated. Yes.
in which you have two, well, actually more, because every character is, it's not played by the same person. I'm playing all these different characters. You have talented actors, um, each in their own context, and so readers then listen to the show and think, "Oh, I want more." And
Yeah.
then they dive in, and let's say they can't find the physical book because there's not enough copies available, so they pick up the audiobook, and they're like, "Wait a minute. This guy doesn't sound anything like that. This is awful. Get rid of him." And so, like, actually, and sometimes the reaction can be visceral, you know.
Yeah.
And so, like, I actually got a message today, and I mean, I kind of laughed, but it's serious, and it's like, what did it say? It said, "Why don't you just kill yourself the way you murdered Kip?" Yeah, and you're like, wow, wow,
Oh my gosh.
that's a bit of an intense response.
Totally.
Yeah, but that's the kind of vitriol, at least part of it, that's come with this curious route of film or screen, in this case, right? Streaming series to audiobook. And so that creates a curious dynamic. And so I mean, I guess I'll just describe really quickly, but like, because people have asked me repeatedly, well, tell us about Kip's accent, right? Which has been, mocked and parried, whatever, right? So, I mean, if you read the book, right, Brooklyn features prominently, and he's described as having a gravelly Brooklyn drawl or a ragged Brooklyn drawl,
Yeah.
and then particularly like I laughed at one of the TikToks I saw because it was making fun of Kip's accent in the sexy scenes, but that the way Rachel wrote it is that's when his accent comes out the most.
Even more. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the way it was written. Now, but here's the problem. So when I got the book, I had no notes, no direction, Brooklyn accent, voice differentiation, all the things I was just talking about. Brooklyn, which is on the west end of Long Island, is the home to 2.7 million people. 2.7 million, right? And it is richly diverse, right? White, Anglo, Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian. I mean, it is one of the most diverse pockets in North America of people. And it's socioeconomically and educationally diverse,
Yeah.
right? So, depending upon where you go in Brooklyn, you're going to hear different things. And so, um, I mean, I would love to say in this moment, but it would be disingenuous to say, like, oh, I took a deep dive and I hired a vocal coach and thought about exactly. But the reality is that I don't know if I would have ever gotten it quote unquote right for everyone because people have a sense of what Brooklyn sounds like, whether they've been there or not, or know what Brooklyn is in 2026 or 2019 or not. And so I made a set of choices to present him as vocally distinct. I didn't want him to be overly New York. And I made those choices and tried to inhabit the character. But that's how the process actually happened, if that makes sense.
That totally makes sense. And Tor, you rather than one person having one focus as their own character, you're playing all of them. And that's
Correct.
something that, going back to nuance, when people are consuming this media and it's different than what they imagined it, they don't have the space for that. And so I think you're incredible, Tor, and you don't deserve any, like, people can have their opinions, people are entitled to that, more power to them, but any sort of vitriol, I'm so sorry that you have to experience that because you are so talented and you're juggling so many different things and giving us an experience, and I think you're incredible.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that. And for me, like, you're like, wow, that's intense. I hope you're just not sending random notes like the one I mentioned earlier to,
Right, right,
just
right.
strangers here and there, because that's really not okay. But it shows that they're clearly invested in the characters. And again, as I said earlier, the importance here, I think, is the power of Rachel's message. And so, to the extent that the accent discourse has distracted from that message, it frustrates me because that's the last thing that I want to do. Um, the other thing too, I'll say as a voice actor is that so I'm moving quickly towards 700 audiobooks in the coming months, and
That's insane to me. You're crazy. That's amazing.
well, I enjoy telling the stories, and the romance community is a wonderful place, but these stories were told like around book 80 for me. And so the other weird thing is now as I sit in 2026, um, to look back, right?
Yeah.
And to realize, okay, well, that's where I was in 2019. And if I had not improved or changed from 2019 to 2026, then what am I doing here? But I've gotten some messages from people that are like, before you record another chapter, you need to, I'm like, friend, friend,
You're going back in time, girlfriend. Bye.
I can't go back in time. I wish I could. That's not the first thing I would redo in my past.
Yeah.
I mean, but I can't do that. And so anyway, that's sort of a behind the scenes of what really went on, so to speak, in that moment. And I also, people have also asked me too, have you talked to Rachel? I have not. I Rachel and I have had no conversation about the audiobooks at all. So I don't. Yeah.
People are consuming your work and your art, people that are fans of you and want to experience your evolution, like what should they listen to of yours that's either coming out soon or has just come out that you're like, I love doing that one. That story was incredible. People need to hear this. Like what's one of those?
Yeah. I mean, so I just had the opportunity to do a hockey, male female duet narration
Wow.
with Andy Arndt, written by Tijan. But if you go to Audible and you just search my name, Tor Thom, you can search by newest to oldest, and and you can see the newest stuff, the stuff that's coming out. Um, but yeah.
Outside of narrating, do you also read physical books? without listening to them?
I do. I mean, my genres of choice are consistent with my training, or like human history. I'm particularly fascinated now by human evolution
Okay.
and genetic changes and the rise and fall of Neanderthals. I mean, I'm super nerdy in that
If you had to
way.
give us one of those books to put on our TBR, what would they be?
Oh gosh. I mean, Homo sapiens is a really great one. I mean,
I've seen that one. I need to put that on mine.
yeah, and so it's just, so much has happened in the last decade to look back into the deep past and understand more about how we came to be who we are today.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that, Tor.
Sure.
Are you ready to play a game?
Sure.
We talked a lot about accents, and so
We did.
we're going to take turns redubbing iconic heated rivalry moments using
Okay.
wildly different accents. I'm going to join in with you, okay? It's going to be
Okay,
good
got it.
fun and just a nod to like the discourse that's been going around accents, and we're going to be playful with it and have fun with it.
Sure.
Tor, I'm feeling very shy, and that's not who I am. In
You're
your
feeling
presence,
shy.
in your majesty, I bow to thee. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. We are going to pick two different accents. We're gonna watch an iconic scene from Heated Rivalry, and then Tor and I are gonna act out the scene with the accents. Tor,
Great.
are you ready for yours? The first one is a pirate.
I hate pirates. I hate pirates.
I'll be the pirate then. How about that?
Okay, yeah, good.
And then 1920s radio host.
Okay, I'll try to do that. I'll try to do that one. Okay. You have fun last night
Last night?
with your team. Get dinner, get drunk.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had fun, but I didn't get drunk on the rum. You?
Yeah, it was great. No boring Canadians, no stupid Americans.
So, what? Just a bunch of French or Finnish guys talking about the ocean they're in love with?
1, 2, 2, 1.
Cut. Thank you. That is crazy.
Wow.
I'm gonna be so susceptible to all the commentary.
Oh, it'll be fun. The commentary will be fun.
Let's do another one. What do you say? Tor, Oklahoma accent.
Oklahoma, got it. Oh, I
Sound
love
good?
it. I love it. You should do Mickey Mouse with Oklahoma. Just for fun.
Let's go, Mickey Mouse. So you be Shane as Oklahoma, and I will be Ilya as Mickey Mouse. Here we go.
I was going to ask you,
Hollander.
will you come to my cottage this summer? Don't go to Russia. Come to my house. We'll have so much fun. It's so private, no one will know.
Hollander, you know we can't do that.
We could have a week, or even 2. Be completely alone. Together.
Maybe. Oh, Tor,
Bravo.
thank you for being a good sport with me. I so appreciate you.
Sure.
We'll do one more. Here we go.
Okay.
Let's see what this one is. Sleepy, just like a sleepy
it.
man. And I'm going to be, here we go. I'm going to be a surfer dude. So here we go.
Sleepy and surfer dude. Wow, okay.
This is incredible. Here we go.
What the fuck was that?
A loon.
Sounds like a fucking wolf.
It's a bird, trust me.
What kind of a bird makes a noise like that?
A loon? A fucking wolf.
Stupid Canadian wolf bird. Oh, so now you can speak bird too?
Fluent.
I hate you.
No, you don't.
Bravo, friend, bravo.
Tor, I think you should start a school and I will be your number one student. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just hearty congratulations to Rachel Reed and the entire cast, crew, producers, directors, everyone who made it happen, and the actors involved, and for the continued success of Heated Rivalry as it marches forward. And may it entertain and help many, as it already has.
Thank you for giving us behind the curtain, behind the scenes today, Tor. It was a joy to talk with you, and thank you so much for making time for Love on Demand. And
Oh, of
we are just big fans of yours, so Can't wait for the next 700 Tor Thom audio narrations.
We'll see how that goes. I appreciate all of you and appreciate the time to come on and talk about this. And again, I hope the message of the show continues to reach everyone that it needs to. That love is love, and love is beautiful and should be celebrated.